Welcome on this InvestGlass presentation. My name is Alexander, I'm the CEO of InvestGlass, and today we're going to show you how to simply implement MiFID or LSFIN FIDLEG regulation for an advisory setup. In this video, we'll show you how to make your advisory department as a profit center and not as a cost center. Because yes, one of the biggest issues we have, and partly with this new compliance, is that making a good solicitation, building a good advice is actually quite tough. So with no further ado, let's dive into InvestGlass. First, it's important to know that this video is not legal advice. So if you need a legal advice, please make sure you have the proper advice to implement MiFID and LSFIN FIDLEG. InvestGlass is #1 sales automation platform built here in Switzerland. It's a solution that is offering an all-in-one solution with a CRM, onboarding, and even the campaign tool that you'll see later on. InvestGlass, as I said, is a tool built for banks and asset managers. This means that you'll find into a sovereign Swiss cloud all the building pillars that you need to automate your sales process. As you can see here, all the tools are acceptable and eligible for the Swiss regulation. If you are working under Singaporean, Luxembourgian, or any European country, it's also possible to host InvestGlass on your server in France, in Luxembourg, or in Singapore. Now, let's talk about FINSA and MiFID setup. First, when you use InvestGlass, you have to make sure that the data that you collect is the right data for this screening. You need contact data, account data, and portfolio data. Contact data, usually it's the main investor, the prime FINSA contact. Account data will be usually where you'll find the type of mandate. Portfolio data is the actual positions and the detail of the portfolio. So for instance, the type of mandate. So you see, you have to make sure where you're going to store the mandate. Is it in the account? Is it in the portfolio? Then you need the strategy data and the stress test data. So both data can be set later on. The strategy and the stress test will then appear into your reporting. Universe list is the data of the securities that you are offering based on different mandates that you are offering to your customers. Security data is usually the data coming from Bloomberg. It can come from FactSet, Morningstar, or even your own data. This is where you'll find all the information about the actual segmentation, denomination, symbology of this security. And then the concentration data is how much of an asset class you accept per client segments. So it's important first that you have this data collected. This means that the data is, as you see here, coming from several points. It can come from your data providers. It can come also from your existing portfolio management system and existing CRM. What InvestGlass obviously offers, it's a CRM and a PMS, a portfolio management tool. So you can transport, download, upload, send all the data to InvestGlass to generate those solicitations. Now, which input do you really need? You really need to have into InvestGlass all the inputs that we've seen before, because if you don't have these data points, it will be impossible to create a solicitation with respect to FINSA and MiFID. So this is a classification that you're going to use to build your solicitations. As you can see, you have two dimensions. The first dimension is the client classification, and the second is the types of service. As you'll see also with those colors, it's quite easy to find when suitability and appropriateness is needed and when it's not needed. Then some of you will directly tell me, well, I have institutional clients doing execution only, so I don't need to do anything. Well, first in MiFID, you know that that's not the case. You need to record some key elements of this solicitation, even if the actual suitability and appropriateness report is not needed. What you see here into this classification and this matrix is actually what is used into InvestGlass to generate the different types of flags that we'll see later on. InvestGlass, as you understand, will then look into for whom you're doing this advice, so who will be the advice contact, and based on that, InvestGlass will then automatically find the right suitability and appropriateness. Obviously, if it's for a suitability approach, the suitability being linked to the mandate, usually, partly if you do a discretionary portfolio mandate, or if you have an advisory but with a mandate risk approach, then you will have no impact on the suitability based on the advice contact. The advice contact will then be impacted if you have an appropriateness, okay? Then the appropriateness will be usually linked to the questionnaire that you will build outside with the InvestGlass forms. InvestGlass has an InvestGlass form system to capture the knowledge of your investors. Now, based on that, InvestGlass has different tools to push the advisors or to facilitate the advisory departments to find the flavor of the month or securities that are actively suggested to them. This can be the structured product that you build. This could be the products that you want to sell. So InvestGlass will help you to distribute the securities first. Obviously, what you find here is also securities that are in line with suitability and appropriateness. InvestGlass also manages the different investment criteria, so the minimum quantity, the incremental amounts will be also accessible from this advisory tool. Now, when you are doing your portfolio reporting, you want to make sure to find into your reporting the right columns. So once you'll be using InvestGlass, make sure that you also always customize it so that the view that you'll find here with the portfolio system here, you can very easily find which portfolio has an issue with suitability and appropriateness. You filter them, and then you can start building suitability and appropriateness recommendations based on the client's knowledge and the mandate type. We built also a very powerful tool called Campaign. Here in the same place, you'll find different elements. First, the contact name and the portfolio, but also the stage, an amount, and the link directly to the actual solicitation. That's right. So it means that once you created the PDF with the actual content of what you suggest your customers to buy or to sell, this information will be directly sent to the banker or even to the client. Here in one line you find all the information, and for the first time you have a direct access to also the triggered action buttons. So giving a phone call, sending an email, everything will be in the same place, right? Because if you actually also change the stage, you want to make sure that you track correctly the interest of the client. So here, if I change the stage, for example, from transmit to RM, client revert yes or no, then automatically a pop-up page will show up with this contact report information. And here I'll be invited as a relationship manager or as an advisor to explain what happened. So eventually the advisory department will never work anymore for free. They will actually be part of the profit center, the same way you have a relationship manager, because they will have the same interest into finding the best recommendation to send to the right customer in the right time. So are you ready to start? Now, this migration methodology is quite easy to build. We do it with InvestGlass. The only thing then you need is a license of InvestGlass, and for that we work with 3 types of licenses: Starter, Enterprise, and Digital. Starter is for basic usage of InvestGlass. Enterprises will use automations. Digital will be using the client portal and the SFTP. If you're using InvestGlass for this process, you will need a digital, obviously, because you need to have data coming from Morningstar, Bloomberg, but you also need perhaps data coming from your existing portfolio management tool. I hope you enjoyed this short video. If you have more questions about how to build your own advisory with InvestGlass, let me know and send us a message at contact@investglass.com. Thank you.